to
comments
this.
like that. Yes, ma'am.
New Monmouth University polling shows Joe Biden's national lead now is growing slightly to 50% compared to President Trump's 41%, despite the fact that Joe Biden is facing a sexual assault claim and can only campaign remotely. And Kellyanne, the president has been in a pretty public battle this week with a group of Never Trump Republicans after they released an attack ad on his COVID-19 response. Now the co-founder of that group, your husband, George Conway, warning in an op-ed, Trump's narcissism deadens any ability he might otherwise had to carry out the duties of a president in the manner of Constitution requires. He's so self-obsessed he can only act for himself and not for the nation. It's why he was impeached and why he should have been removed from the office. And it's why he reacts with such rage. He fears the truth. He fears being revealed for what he truly is. Before I get your reaction on this is not about your husband. This is not about your marriage. This is about that group. It just so happens that George Conway wrote this op-ed today. What is the response to this? Because this group now is getting a lot of light and lifting from the president tweeting about them.
Well, first of all, you showed a Monmouth poll that needs to be addressed, and then I'll do the rest of it. The Monmouth poll is an outlier compared to the ones we saw just yesterday from Reuters, last week from Gallup. Gallup showed the president's approval rating at an all-time high for Gallup again, including among independents. Yesterday's Reuters poll showed that President Trump is beating Joe Biden on the questions of who would you prefer, who do you trust to create jobs, who do you trust on handling the pandemic, the two key questions heading into this election and are front and center every day here. And so I think that those are very important. It certainly is about my husband, or you would have quoted other people in the group, particularly all the other ones who are political consultants and never achieved what I achieved, which is success as a presidential campaign manager.
Well, quite frankly, Rick Wilson's was a little too blue for our taste. I didn't want to read that on the air, but you're right, there are others, but this one was clean.
Right, I can't even say I've seen it. But to my point, they've all failed. They never succeeded the way I did as campaign manager. And they never got their candidate where my candidate got. He's president of the United States, mostly because of what he did in the vice president. They were our two greatest assets. But let's be honest here. The other thing is that I think if I were the Trump campaign, I would worry most about the $65 million that American Priorities has already booked in ads. That's been all over the news. I don't see you writing that because I guess whoever's running American Priorities' wife doesn't work at the White House and isn't on your show right now. So we can't play that game. But that's a $65 million investment.
The president didn't tweet about them, though. And again, Kellyanne, with all due respect, and you know I respect you, this is about lifting up a group, though. Do you chance losing some of the moderates by doing this? I mean, ignore them.
It.
Why?
I do. That's great advice. I sure do. Because I have a job to do here. I work for the country.
But the president isn't ignoring them.
Mostly he does. Once in a while he doesn't. But he also wanted to expose, I think, a number of the people in that group who, act like they're so dignified and holier than thou and everyone when they should also, nobody ever says what their track record is. They made tons of money in the campaigns, nothing close to what I made, much less, because we had the Trumpian campaign under-resourced, understaffed. We had to figure it out. We had the connective tissue with the voters. And this president's message about the forgotten man, forgotten woman, who, frankly, some of the people in that group have been out and out rude about Harris. They have referred to Trump voters, Rick Wilson, you mentioned him, or whoever else, whatever their unsuccessful campaign managers are in that group. They are making fun of. They might as well just call them deplorable and irredeemable, although they've said worse, toothless rubes. I don't like when you denigrate people in this country because of their political
that column that hit from
status.
Rick Wilson, like I said, we couldn't even put it on the, there were things in it I don't want to read.
I didn't even see it. I'm sorry that you're taking, you'll never get the time back that you're spending reading these columns. But I will say one other thing. Just because people have a Twitter feed and the president has a Twitter feed doesn't make them the president. We have one at a time, and he happens to be President Donald J. Trump. Another thing I'll just say quickly is people all the time in op-eds and on Twitter
that's why it got so much attention, because the president tweeted at them.
The president believes this, or the president said that, or here's why. They don't even know him. So I think you giving anybody elevating people's opinions or projections or wishful thinking about somebody that they don't know or that they hardly know, the president who's otherwise available every single day to the press to answer questions, I would also.
And maybe he'll be asked about it. Let's move on. I want to talk about the health and wellness of everybody on your team there at the White House. News broke today that the president's personal valet, one of them, I know he has several, has tested positive for the coronavirus. The White House has said that the president and the vice president have since tested negative. You know, it's natural to be concerned about someone that you see leading the country every day and that we have so much access to, as you say, as journalists and as Americans. How is he doing? What's going on behind the scenes? Are people going to start to wear masks around our president, or what's happening?
The president is doing fantastically today, as is the vice president. The vice president was in Virginia early this morning receiving one of those packages coming from FEMA for the nursing homes. We're deploying them to 15,400 nursing homes.
I saw that, Alexandria.
And so you see where he is. The president is here working. He'll be on camera later. He'll be out in the Rose Garden for our National Day of Prayer. It's also the second anniversary of First Lady Melania Trump's Be Best campaign. We have a lot going on here. And the president is doing well. We all get tested routinely. And I think if anybody should start wearing masks and showing more respect, it should be the media. So if a member of the media is asking this question about how to protect the president, I would say people who are constantly within his wingspan, they don't show respect when he walks into the briefing room. They don't show respect by wearing masks around him. A few do. But maybe they should do that, or maybe we should, not think.
Well, there's no argument for me on that. I'm just wondering about the person serving the president his meals. Are there going to be some different, things behind the scenes?
I'll let the president make those announcements, or the director of operations. But obviously, the president is very healthy and is tested routinely, and people see him, Harris, every single day. He's hardly hiding.
Yes, we do.
He's the most transparent, available president in modern history, and he's been communicating directly with the public so they know the truth about ventilators and PPE and testing. And also, while we're on the topic, great New York Times article today about how this virus spread from New York. Travel from New York was the second wave of the virus. Everybody should read it. It says that, like Wuhan and Milan, New York became a vortex, quote unquote, for the virus. And now that we know things like that, Harris, it helps us to mitigate that in the future as well. And I think we're all learning together.
All right. Kellyanne Conway, thank you for taking all my questions, as you always do.
You got it.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Be safe. Take care.
You too. A new poll revealing